How's it going again, everybody? Well, I wanted to add this from my previous videos that I made over the last couple of days. Every once in a while I get into a subject about stress and lies and the world that we endure, and there's no way for me to generally classify it. It's just a subject of living and dealing with the stresses and problems that we have in life. And I found that every time I finish a video, it doesn't matter how long it is, there's always something completely important, totally important related to it that I forget to add to the video. So rather than go back and edit and make other videos, I just pop in and the subject comes into mind. And so anyway, this is in kind of a response to a comment somebody made on the video about stress, and said that that they've been working on dealing with stress in life, and that sometimes depression can obscure that or cause more problems, and that he or she felt that they're slipping back into the old way of thinking, so to speak, sometimes. And I wanted to really address that because I think that that's something that we all share. But to remember that when you fall back, it's not that you're falling down. You haven't failed. You haven't failed until you let yourself fail. If we do something that we know harms us, let's use addiction for example. Let's say we have a severe addiction. Now anybody who's had an addiction and gone to treatment knows what a relapse is. I think most people know what a relapse is, but and those who have been to any type of treatment or AA know that just because a person has a relapse doesn't mean everybody dismisses them and says you failed. It just means, okay, you get a pat on the back and you try again. Now there's a certain point where you've had too many pats on the back and you are failing, but that's up to the individual to determine. But when it comes to falling back to our old ways of thinking, it's something that everybody does. I don't think that there's anybody who's ever set themselves on a path and just totally followed it all the way without making a mistake. The mere act of recognizing the mistake shows that you have a value system in place that knows what the mistake is. I hope that makes sense. That once you recognize the errors you're making, it means that your mind is consciously aware of how you want to be and think. So rather than getting upset and saying, oh well, I failed, and falling back into that addiction, whatever it may be, you try again and you try harder. And you learn the second time that just because you made a mistake, it doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you're stronger for it. It's like there's not much else I can really say about it. I want to keep the video simple, but it's more just kind of a props to people to say, don't let yourself get brought down by your own failures, because that is our growth. And I see, life growth, it's not a steady climb, nor is it a consistent line. It's ups and downs, but it gradually climbs, and that's the thing. You get the down point and you go, shoot yourself right back up as high as you can. And one more thing I'd like to add to that is when you are at a high point, when things are working well and you are feeling good, embrace that to its fullest. Every morning when I wake up, I sit down maybe on the couch with a cup of coffee, and I think, okay, how do I feel today? And what I've found is on the mornings when I wake up feeling really energized, I tend to kind of fade throughout the morning. Whereas the mornings where I wake up feeling really tired and where it's hard to get going, some of those days are the days where I get the most done and feel the greatest. So what I'm saying is that my expectations of the day, of how it's going to be, can affect the day. That's why I don't have any expectations. I just let it go. It's like if you stub your toe in the morning and say you're going to have a bad day, you've set yourself on a roller coaster where you've determined the day value by what's happened to you already. We can all do better. We can all treat ourselves better. Mostly we just don't want to beat ourselves up. There's a fine line there between criticizing yourself for things that you know you need to change and giving yourself a little bit of space and saying that that's just a normal human condition. Because if we beat ourselves up over our failures, then we're just going to have a lower self-esteem and it's going to make things worse. But if we're so arrogant that we can't admit when we make a mistake, then we'll never grow from it. So take care, everybody, and I'll talk to you all soon.